The Doom Pool. What is it? A mod that combines overall dramatic tension, or threat level, or danger, or foreboding, etc., and pacing, as well as serving as GM resources, all clearly visible to the table. It grows when the GM decides to buy a hitch from a player by giving them a plot point, and either stepping up the lowest Doom die or adding a new die to the Doom pool. And it shrinks when the GM spends Doom dice to do various things like creating scene distinctions, splitting up the PCs, or ending a scene. What does it mean to say the overall dramatic tension is being represented? Well, the Doom pool typically starts out with just a pair of D6s, communicating that tension is very low at the moment. And since all tests are against the Doom pool, unless you're using the limited Doom pool mod, PCs are much more likely to be able to create assets and etc. at this time. And general opposition is going to be weak. As the Doom pool grows, however, tests will become more difficult, and opposing forces will have more resources at their disposal. In a very real sense, the tension has risen considerably. The ebb and flow of the Doom pool is, then, a representation of the ebb and flow of dramatic tension at the table. So what does it mean that the Doom pool is about pacing? Well, as the dramatic tension grows and shrinks, so too does the pacing of a session or arc trend more towards or away from action-packed, whatever that might mean for the game. Since the Doom pool begins small, it's fair to understand that in a very general way, its growth and then return to a smaller size coincides with the narrative's rising tension, climax, and denouement, or falling tension and resolution. A glance at the Doom pool should give a player an indication not only of the situation at the moment, but also suggest what kind of scene to expect soon. What does it mean that the Doom pool is GM resources? With the Doom pool, GMs can spend Doom dice in a similar fashion to how players spend plot points. In addition to the list on page 32 in the handbook, some GMCs and PCs may have abilities that can interact with the Doom pool in some fashion, raising or lowering or borrowing or spending dice to do something fantastic or special. Some tips for the Doom pool: it isn't necessary for a GM to buy every hitch, nor is it always necessary to describe how that hitch is somehow contributing to the ambient tension level. When the Doom pool is low, that's when PCs are probably ready to heal and recover and prepare for the next scenes, and vice versa. But not always. The Doom pool is merely a tool and a gauge of the narrative possibilities. Let the table inform what happens and when in the story being played out. Remember, too, that if players aren't rolling a lot of hitches and the Doom pool isn't growing, it's not a bad thing. It just isn't very dramatic. That's why it's always nice to have GMCs that can interact with the Doom pool as well, growing it through SFX and Hinder, which would add a die to the Doom pool instead of getting a plot point, and the like. So our conclusion: the Doom pool is a fantastic player-facing mechanic that communicates current ambient danger and suggests where the narrative might be headed in the near future. Perfect for games where PC's actions have consequences beyond just their time and place, or when a table simply doesn't want to plan or prep a session arc too much and would rather let the dramatic tension guide the game's